We met at a birthday party and my younger sister introduced me to him. My younger sister did an internship at a financial institution where he was a manager. After my sister completed her internship, she moved on to another financial institution after she graduated college. One Saturday night, a mutual friend of my younger sister hosted a birthday party. I didn't have anything to do that night, so I tagged along with her. That was where I met my future husband. My sister introduced me to him as a manager for a financial institution she did her internship. We introduced ourselves and had a bit of banter. Things got heated between us really fast, and within 3 months of our meeting, I was pregnant with his child. I was concerned about the pregnancy because I wanted to get married before having a baby and I wasn't ready for that big step. Moreover, I work for a Catholic institution that would frown upon having a child out of wedlock. I imagined all the people who would whisper my name at work and around my family as the girl who got pregnant out of wedlock. My boyfriend and I decided it was best we got married immediately before the sign of the pregnancy become visible. A couple of weeks before we got married, I was sitting on the couch watching TV when I received a text message. It was from a woman. The text says something to the effect of, "The man you are about to marry is my serious boyfriend. I've been with him longer than you have been with him. I even got pregnant for him at some point, but he made me get rid of it. You don't know this man like you think you do. Please be warned." I didn't bother replying to the text. That was how much I trusted my boyfriend. Instead, I forwarded it to my boyfriend. I assumed he took care of it because the girl never contacted me again. When my sister found out I was getting married to the guy she introduced me to, she objected to it. She fought tooth and nail to stop me from getting married to him. I didn't understand why, and I didn't care to find out. I was pregnant with his child, so we had to get married as soon as possible. It didn't matter that I didn't know him well enough. I told myself, we'll figure things out as we go along. Right when we were planning of getting married, his job had transferred him out of state, so most of our interactions were via phone. It made it harder for me to get to know him in person, but we pushed through and got married. I thought everything went perfectly until I saw our wedding video. At a point in the ceremony, my husband's ex-girlfriend showed up and the camera captured them arguing. It looked like the cameraman didn't know what was going on, so he captured it anyway. After watching the clip, I asked myself, how was he able to carry on with the program as if nothing was amiss? If I missed this, then what else did I miss? That was when it dawned on me that I really didn't know my husband as much as I thought I knew him. We had a baby, but that didn't stop me from trying to find out what I was missing. After we got married, I was excited to move in with him. I found a different job in the town he now lives. Living with him was going to give me the opportunity to know him a lot better. We now share a child now. Over the time we lived together, he would receive strange calls at night, stay late for work, and always have excuses for everything. I tried to get into his phone, but I didn't have his password. One day I brought him lunch at work and noticed that he had a young secretary. We quickly got acquainted, and she fed me information about his daily affairs. I only had to ask the questions, and she would tell me the answer. She didn't spell things out clearly, but she gave me enough pointers to suspect my husband might be having an affair. After suspecting that he was having an affair, I knew that I would learn more about it if I could gain access to his phone. I went online looking for help and found that I could install a messaging spy app to monitor his comings and goings. It took me weeks to get an opportunity to install it on his phone. One evening before we went to bed, I watched him unlock his phone, dropped it on a nightstand, and went to use the bathroom. Before the phone timed out, I took it outside the house and installed the spyware. Before I went back into the house, I got an opportunity to search through his phone and I didn't miss it. After going through his phone, I nearly collapsed. I found out that he dated a colleague of mine I introduced to him some time ago. We were yet to get married when that affair happened. He was also flirting with my hairdresser. They were texting each other back and forth. He was also having an affair with one of his ex-girlfriends who was married. He also had a girlfriend at his workplace and also had another one at a university closer to where we lived. The secretary who I turned to for information was also one of the girls my husband was hitting on. There were many others that I don't even remember. When I got back to the house, I was in tears. He was looking for his phone. With anger, I smashed his phone to pieces, which was a big mistake because it would have helped me track what he was up to. I told him that I was getting divorced from him, and he started denying the affair, acting innocent. I told him that I saw the text messages, and he told me that it was all fabricated. I picked up the pieces of the phone to try to show him, but the phone was too damaged to even show anything. I felt pretty stupid for destroying the evidence I would have used against him. Without evidence, it was his words against mine, and he wasn't budging. He accused me of destroying his phone for no reason. Then and there it was clear to me how manipulative my husband was. For once in my marriage, I realized that I didn't know who I was married to. I told him that we're getting divorced as I left the room. He kept claiming to be innocent and calling me crazy. I saw the signs from the beginning, and I ignored them. The following week, 2 things happened. The first one was that we started sleeping in separate bedrooms, and the second one was that I found out that I was pregnant. All hope of leaving him went out the window. I felt it was too late. I had to accept things as they were and carry on with the marriage. He was happy when he heard the news of my pregnancy. He tried to make amends, but I no longer trust him. I fell out of love for him and thought about removing the baby. Eventually, I spoke with my mother and sister, and they were against me removing the baby. I told my younger sister that I no longer feel safe in my house, and I am always crying, and she suggested that she come and stay with us till I can control my emotion. The first day my sister moved in with me and my husband, she confronted my husband for how he had treated me. My husband was strangely calm, and I felt like my sister was overreacting, but it comforted me that she was there for me. While my sister was still living with us, we later reconciled. I didn't entirely trust him, but I hoped for the best. One evening I was craving for spicy soup. I thought it was maybe because of my pregnancy, so I went to the grocery store. When I got back home, my sister and my husband were not home. My husband came back home first and told me that he went to see a friend. A few minutes later my sister came back home and said she went window shopping. I didn't suspect anything till I went outside and noticed something peculiar about the dirt on both my husband and sister's shoes. I wouldn't normally notice something like this, but it was too much of a coincidence to ignore. I thought maybe because I was pregnant my senses were heightened, but the further I look into it the stranger it become. The dirt on their shoes is a specific blue color that could only be found at a particular fun park close to our house. That was when I suspected that my husband and sister went there. They staggered their time of return as not to arouse suspicion that they were coming from the same place. And when they returned, they voluntarily lied about where they went. I thought maybe they were getting along and didn't want me to know it. After all, they knew each other before me. Knowing who my husband was, I suspected that maybe he may have slept with my younger sister before, but I didn't take that thought seriously. 2 nights after, I woke up in the middle of the night and my husband wasn't in bed. I went to the living room and I couldn't find him. Something told me to go to the guest room when my sister and my child were sleeping. The door was closed. I opened the door to a dark room and all I heard was sounds of people scrambling in the dark. I turned on the light to find my husband and sister hurrying up to put their clothes on. I was in shock, hyperventilating. I couldn't breathe. All I heard was my sister begging me, telling me that it was my husband's fault and he forced himself on her. I couldn't remember much after that. I felt like it was an out-of-body experience. I tried to scream, but I couldn't. I tried to move my body, but I couldn't. My husband and sister took me to the hospital where I miscarried. When I woke up from the hospital, my sister and husband weren't there. They were afraid of how I would react when I wake up at the hospital. While I was in the hospital, I received a call from my mother, and she told me that my sister confessed that my husband forced himself on her. I am not sure I agreed with her side of the story. I would later find out that my husband and sister dated while she was at the university, and that was how she got her internship at his workplace. He is actually my sister's first, the man who broke her walls. I was shocked. I was like, why didn't they tell me right from the start? Why will my sister hide such a thing from me? I am sure if she told me, I wouldn't have gotten close to him, let alone find myself married to him. About 2 months in, I am now living with my mother. I am not on speaking terms with my sister. I am still working through the divorce process with my husband. Cheating flows in his blood and nothing can help. There is so much I want to add, but I will stop here. As karma would have it, my husband was let go from his job due to many women complaining against him. His job used the pandemic as an excuse to let him go, but the real reason was because of many women complaining about his advances. I was in such hurry to get married to a man that I don't know because I got pregnant out of wedlock. Ultimately, I can't claim that people didn't warn me about him, but I failed to listen.
Tragedy sometimes happens to us by mistake, but the majority of the unfortunate things that happens to us in our relationship is because we fail to understand the personality profile of the person we're getting into relationship with, because we allow our emotions to cloud our judgment. Before opening yourself to somebody in a relationship, man or woman, you have to understand their character, their relationship to others, and what people say about them. First-hand experience is the worst form of learning. As a human being, if somebody tells you to be careful around another person, then proceed with caution when dealing with that said person that you were warned about. In this story, this woman failed to listen to all the warning signs. Learn from others mistakes so you wouldn't have to make it again. You can't live long enough to make them all yourself. The original poster in this story failed to listen to her sister, his past girlfriend, and his antecedent because she was worried about what people would think about her when they found out that she was pregnant out of wedlock, which indicates that she lacks self-esteem and self-awareness. For such a big step in her life, she should have done her homework. Some women are attracted to dark, triad personalities like moths are attracted to light. This is not the first time that we have heard of stories where women saw every indication that the guy that they are sleeping with is not the best or the ideal candidate for a relationship. Yet she ignored all the signs. She ignores the warning signs and complaints from his ex-girlfriend. Even maybe those warning signs even gave her encouragement to pursue the relationship further, because women love men with social proof. So if he has so many ex-girlfriends, then he must be good in bed, which is a very shallow way of thinking. But this guy seemed to be a guy that has money because he works in a bank and has his own secretary, and he has that dark triad personality. So he is a gold mine for women that lack self-esteem, which is why he's able to attract so many women. Remember, in order for him to have sex with so many women, women have to accept them, because women are the gatekeeper of sex. So they are giving him so much intimacy and so much action that he had so many girlfriends. So most women don't think far off. They don't think in the future. They don't think far ahead until they start getting older and it's already too late. And some women nowadays don't even know what they want. 1 minute they're complaining that they can't find a good man, but yet they continue to date losers and men with dark triad personality. I'm sure she stepped over a lot of good men to be with this man. My guess is that she has a very low self-esteem. Marrying someone because you're pregnant and ignoring all the signs and advice shows that she deserved what she got. She ignored all the red flags, maybe because he was a bad boy. She even mentioned that her sister fought tooth and nail for her not to marry him, but yet she married him anyway. But then this sister is not innocent because she turned around and slept with the same guy. And I can assure you that he didn't force himself on her. The lesson in this story is that women shouldn't step over a good man because they want the quintessential bad boy. Then again, toxic people attract toxic people. There are no surprises in this story. She got absolutely what she deserved.